Hi, y'all. I'm Jo, your host and cannabis lifestyle guide. Excited for you to roll with me today and Tyler Wakstein. He is a cannabis industry veteran focusing on cannabis leadership and entrepreneurship. He is the co-founder of Open Nest Labs. And we have a podcast coming out on Monday. So you get a sneak peek at Monday's guest here today on Roll With Me. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So
stoked to roll some joints together.
After we had such a great conversation on our podcast live stream, and you told me that you might have done a little bit of cannabis sales as a teenager, I thought you were probably an excellent joint roller and could teach me a thing or two.
Yeah, I'm a humble steward of the plant, and I'm always available to share what I've learned throughout my years, and always open to learn new things as well.
Right on. So tell me, that looks like an interesting stash box over there. What you got cooking?
Oh yeah, this is a friend of mine started a company called Cubby, and he created these really unique little stash boxes. It's got a really nice tray on the top of it, which I'm going to be rolling on top of. It's got some incredible assortment of OCB papers inside.
Very nice.
And my favorite weed. You got some Unelectric. I got some Indica, some Race Fuel OG, which was grown by Possible Project out in Salinas. And I got some Sativa Pai Gao that was grown by Natura Cultivation in Sacramento.
Right on. Well, I haven't had a chance to try any Union Electric yet, but it is certainly on my list. I've got one of my old favorites from Huckleberry Hill Farms. I smoke their cannabis quite often because the terpene profiles on this stuff is out of this world. So Johnny over there, he crosses everything that he grows with his mom's strain, Paradise Punch. And so everything that he does has this really fruity terpene profile to it. And this one he named Wishful Thinking. It is a cross between Paradise Punch and High School Sweetheart. So, yeah, so it's nice and sweet. And once I grind it, it's super sticky, easy to roll with. So I dig it.
We love to see it. Well, we should we get grinding over here?
I think so, and I'm curious.
What's your grinding method? Do you have like a go-to grinder?
Oh, I do. I am in love with the grinder that has the built-in funnel, and so being allergic to cannabis, if I grind and I get my hands all over the weed and then I touch my face or something, I have a nice little breakout thing that happens. So trying to touch it as little as possible is helpful. But when you're loading it into the paper, the funnel is super, super fun to have.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you have? What's your favorite grinder?
I get gifted a lot of grinders. I feel like it's like the go-to promo thing right now. This grinder actually came in the Cubby box that I just got. And, I feel like stash boxes are somewhat unnecessary in most cases, but this one is like very elegantly looking. It like sits on my desk. And, but yeah, I'm not a picky grinder person. In some ways, I'm used to like rolling up weed on a $1 bill while I'm driving.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have found that there's this style of grinder that looks like a pill bottle for someone who has arthritis or, They have a lot of pain. Their hands don't work well. It's got the right torque to it. I don't know. It's easy to turn. And so somebody that has struggles, that's a good one. So I've actually been in the market to find some good grinders that I can brand and give away as gifts. And so I'm looking for one that is like, the workhorse. They're going to do the work so you don't have to. So yeah.
And you have to maintain a grinder because they get that sticky, icky.
Yes.
Clogs up that grinder. And, the best part of a good grinder too is like letting it like, a month into using a grinder, maybe 2 months. And then you have like an amazing keef stash at the bottom. Which I just smoked a keef joint last couple days ago, so I don't have any keef left. But
oh man, I like to save it and then pour it into a special oil that I'm making. Something that's really going to kick it up a notch, or sprinkle it on top of a late night joint. That's always a fun way to use the keef.
Definitely. So one of the things I always do when I take a paper out is, of course, there's always this crease in the paper, but it's always about making this additional crease, right? So there's like the quarter crease.
Okay. Away from the glue.
Yeah, away from the glue, of course.
Okay.
The glue is the last thing, but there's like, in some ways, there's a crease at the halfway point always, like just coming out of the box. But if you crease it at the quarter spot, you pretty much have a nice little home for your flower.
Yeah, a little tray, if you will.
A little tray.
Okay, I've done this. All right.
One of the other things I always do is I never like to take the weed out of the grinder and put it on a tray or anything, because then you're losing a bunch of the crystals and amazing cannabinoids and terpenes. And so I always like to just kind of like pop it right in, give it a little tap.
I concur. Yeah. And speaking of, you're talking about maintaining a grinder. I'm kind of at that point where mine needs a good cleaning because there's a lot of that sticky that didn't come out of here.
Now, I'm also usually, my wife is pregnant right now. She does smoke, but not when she's pregnant. So I'm usually smoking a lot of joints alone. And I actually prefer smoking joints to the face. And so I usually aren't rolling huge joints. And now when I've got a session going on, I'll roll a big baddie. But, I'm usually rolling, probably 0.5 gram joints versus like 1 gram or 2 gram joints. I also, as much as I think a filter can be very functional, and I think the OCB team does an incredible job with their cones. When I roll with just the regular paper, I don't use a filter. So, you tend not to get the most of it, maybe, but for me, it's just been my style from forever. When I was a kid, all we had was papers that didn't have the pre-packed perfect filters in them.
Right. People were using the, cardboard from a magazine subsubscription or cigarette pack or something.
You rip the top of the paper off.
Yeah.
Until there's, you usually run out of the pack before you run out of the papers.
This is true. And I have, I need the filter because otherwise it just feels too hot to me. But I've been trying to learn the art of tearing off all the excess that I don't use, because I do, like you, if it's a personal joint, a little rosette, you're gonna have a lot of extra. So I've been trying to perfect the art of tearing off that paper and creating some sort of a straight line with it. My friend Jimmy was showing me how to do it out in the wild, and he made it look so easy, and then I start to do it and it doesn't look the same way.
Yeah, there's like, rolling a joint is kind of like, taking a walk. There's no wrong way to do it.
I like your style, Tyler.
Like, and so like, there's been people sometimes that will like be like, you just put your joint on the tray to roll it. You should just be rolling it in your hand. I'm like, why? This is how I like to do it. It's always perfect. I don't need to like get cool points from like rolling it like this. And some people like to do that, but for me, I'm the type of person that just likes to put the weed in, grab the tip, lick it, and then I usually put it on a tray, or I put it on my leg, or I put it on the center console of my car, and I just spin it up. And then it's just, you got a perfect little batty.
Yeah, I think yours is bigger than mine, but
Yeah, I guess when I was saying, I guess I was saying that's
yeah, you said you were just rolling a small one, but that looks big.
Joints, I guess. This is a little joint to me.
Well, that's impressive. If mine was that big, I would have to smoke it in 2 sessions, and I always feel like it just doesn't taste as good when I light it the second time. So mine is a micro dose, if you will.
I think that's good. Can I have a surprise guest come out here and join us for the smoke?
Oh yeah, I always love a good surprise guest.
Michael, you want to come out and be a surprise guest?
Hold on.
Michael is actually one of my business partners at Open Nest.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
Here, come sit. He runs Michael. He actually runs our hemp division. We just launched a really cool product in the sleep space, but he's a cannabis connoisseur through and through for sure.
What's going on, guys? It's a pleasure to meet y'all.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. And the more the merrier. Have a proper smoke sesh.
Proper smoke sesh. So Joe is the real deal Holyfield. She is constantly just casually baked. And
a functional stoner.
She's a super functional stoner, and she just brings a good vibe. And it's, she just asked me, let's just roll a joint, hang out.
I love that. It's like my smoke routine's usually at the end of the day, at night.
Yeah, Michael. Michael to when Michael and I just started working together, I remember bringing him to a couple meetings. We're in the cannabis business, so like, of course, the joint's getting lit up. And I remember being in this one meeting, and then they were just like, Michael was just on the couch.
Didn't say a single word.
Just out, and I was just like, no more weed during work, dude.
This is a good lesson. This is a very good lesson.
Yeah, it was a great lesson.
I'm very functional.
Well, and for me, it's cool to be high in a meeting, but write that shit down, people. Don't be calling me the next day or sending an email asking the same questions about stuff we talked about. So, if you can be functional, I'm all about it. But it's funny, I'm using...
And you have this little roach clip too?
Well, so this is like a little marketing tchotchke that I got 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it just sits on my desk, and it has like some note that I need to see in it. But I left my roach clip at a friend's house, and so I turned this into a roach clip for the day.
Oh, I love that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Who's that sponsored by?
Cyber reps, back when the internet was starting.
Sometimes you needed someone to rep you into the cyber matrix.
That's how long I've been doing marketing. Yeah, this is old as hell. But and I can set it down on my rolling tray. Like, no hands, no hands. Apollo likes it.
Apollo, yeah, loves it.
What's up, dude?
So how did you two get into business together? What's your connection?
So we were both transitioning in our previous professional lives. Tyler was running Open Nest, which at the time was a social impact consulting agency. I was winding down my time as the head of music partnerships and growth at TikTok. And
this little app called TikTok, if anyone heard it. He brought everyone on the platform.
And one of our mutual friends, this guy, Dr. Jeff Chen, he was formerly the Well, he was the founder and formerly the executive director of cannabis research at UCLA Medical. Someone who I was really close with at the time. Tyler was mentoring him, and I knew that, I saw the opportunity of entering the cannabis space, just getting back into the world of venture-backed startups and, just having a long relationship with the plant myself and seeing the opportunity. And spoke to Jeff and was like, I really want to start exploring the cannabis industry and seeing what opportunities are out there. And he introduced me to Tyler and we hit it off. And, it was like, first few times we met, it felt like we knew each other, our whole lives. So homies at kind of like love at first sight, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounds like my relationship with cannabis.
Yeah, it was
sweet.
one of those lunches, when you like have a lunch with someone that turns into a dinner, yes. And it was just a good drop in. But Michael's, we call him Dr. Kamens. He can tell you everything about the endocannabinoid system, and he's just. We've done a lot of work on the research and science side, which we've talked about, of course, around, the benefits of cannabinoids and really understanding the cannabinoids and what strains at what dose really gets a consistent effect. And he really runs a lot of that stuff for us on the hemp side and all of our research initiatives.
Yeah, just having Jeff as being the initial conduit into the industry and the relationship that Tyler and I have with the medical community. One of the things that we saw when we first started was just the lack of research and limited information there is about cannabinoids, what they're good for, that there really hasn't really been much controlled studies done. And so, seeing Jeff, seeing other scientists and medical researchers trying to get stuff done, but not having the funding, not having the support that they needed, we felt like that was, one of our social impact missions at OpenNest that we could, help support them. And I just became really personally interested in everything that was going on and really kind of understanding what isn't yet quite fully understood, just, my own personal curiosity on it. And so we got really deep in it. And, Tyler sits on the board of a nonprofit medical research organization that to date has funded more money into human clinical trials with cannabinoid-rich therapeutics than any other organization in the history of the world. I myself have volunteered a lot of time there as a chief community officer is my title. Just, what we do on the side of OpenNest and, in the process have been a part of help funding and, even getting involved with the actual, protocol design review of some of the most impactful clinical trials that have been done and are currently going on right now. So we're super excited about all that stuff.
Yeah, and I love what you're doing. And if anyone's interested in learning more about it, they tune into the podcast on Monday. You'll hear a full-length interview that I did with Tyler, and we talk about cannabis leadership and the democratization of cannabis research and all kinds of good shit. So,
but right now we're just smoking joints and cake.
Yeah, right now we're taking it down a notch.
I had to roll another one just because it just felt right.
Yeah, and I rolled one right before we got started because it had been a minute. I'd rolled so many joints that I had just started enjoying smoking all of them. So I was like, I'm a little out of practice. I haven't done this in a few days. So I rolled a second joint that I can light up myself.
Fantastic.
And
same strain or different strain?
This one is a blend between some forbidden fruit that was already in the grinder and the wishful thinking that's from Humboldt.
I mean, look, can we just talk about the forbidden fruit and the wishful thinking? I mean, there should be like, like those like ad libs, like where there's like, okay, there's like some story of like blah 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 blah, wishful thinking, blah 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 blah, the forbidden fruit, blah blah blah, blah the pai gao, which is what we're smoking. And you could just have a whole like we should like create a whole like storyboard around strains and just create these little fairy tales.
Mad libs. Those are mad libs, right?
Like strain fairy tales.
Yes.
I think it should be a co-production between us.
Yeah, it's like Trainwreck. How did that get?
I'm in. Yeah. Well, and now we have Green Crack that has to be renamed, but it's such a perfect
Green
name
cred.
for that cultivar.
Yeah. I don't like the whole renaming of strains. Like I think you got to respect like the ancient wisdom, whether it's thousands of years ago or 20 years ago of different geneticists and cultivators and just stewards of the plant that like gave these name strains. And then like you have like a celebrity that comes in and just takes a white label, like a strain from a cultivator and renames it.
I 100% agree.
I think it's just you got to respect the plant.
Well, and hell, you say ancient. It's like 20 years ago in this industry
I would
kind of
say
feels ancient right now.
totally.
It's like that's somebody with some deep ass knowledge, and you need to be quiet and listen to them instead of white labeling their strain. And that stuff makes me crazy. It's one of the reasons why I like being in Northern California around just a little bit of a different pace of cannabis culture. It's just so different than that Southern California vibe.
It's true. Yeah, I think every community has their own culture though. Like even in Southern California, from Santa Barbara County to San Diego County to within LA, whether you're in Silver Lake or Venice or Culver City to West Hollywood to Beverly Hills, to Pasadena, they're all different little microcosms.
This is true.
But SoCal's I lived in SoCal for a little while. What was my favorite? Like it's very beautiful there, but it wasn't where I wanted to live necessarily.
I mean, it's hard to not want to live here. I don't know.
I don't know. No, we're not. We are in the what was it? The what was not the forbidden fruit, but the first one?
Wishful thinking.
We're in the wishful thinking zone.
Okay.
You're in the wishful thinking valley.
This is the wishful thinking valley.
Well, y'all need to come see me in Sonoma County. I'm going to be moving to an old farmhouse in wine and weed country. I'm going to be hosting some fun
You should meet
stuff.
my friends from Sonoma Hill Farms. They grow amazing cannabis. And they have a huge farm, like where they have pigs, chickens, goats. They have tons of produce, and they're like essentially doing farm to table like restaurant. But it's not a public restaurant, but it's like but they're just hosting cannabis events, and they have an amazing, outdoor selection of cannabis and a great cultivation team.
Right on.
So I'll have to connect you guys when you're up in Sonoma, because they would be a good collab with the two of you.
I would love that, because what I'm doing is really just inviting people into my world. Like, welcome to my casually baked life.
Yeah.
We'll visit some of my favorite farms and hikes and trails, and make cannabis oils and cook together, and pick herbs, make our own medicine.
I love that.
Have a
you should
afternoon reefer recap. Do it all.
The reefer recap.
Oh yeah, it's my happy hour.
Do you know Aaron Gore as well from Garden Society?
I do know Aaron Gore.
Yeah, so Aaron would be a good homie to have out there. I love Aaron.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, Arnav, will you pop over to the comments, to the chat? There was somebody that was neglected. Growing with Mr. Blueface. We do see you. You haven't said anything wrong, I'm sure. We just don't pay much attention. Let's see. Arnav, can you read out loud? Almost what? Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in, Growing with Mr. Blueface. We'll be sure to check you out. His avatar scares me just a little bit, but
what's that song that if I was blue, if I was green, I would that it's the Blueface. It's like it goes in I thought it was his Blue Man Group. Crazy. Yeah. Well, this has been great, Joe. Appreciate you. And I think, thanks for the papers.
Well, certainly. Thanks for rolling with me and for introducing me to your other half. One of your other halves.
One of my other. This is like my leg right here.
Thanks, Joe.
Totally.
That is my cue.
Oh, all right. Yes. Thanks for hanging out. And if any of you want to continue your cannabis rolling class, go to ocbusa.com/baked and get your school supplies. You'll get 4 rolls of OCB papers and a rolling tray for only $4.99. This bundle's worth $20, but the rolling skills and street cred you're going to earn with me, my friend, makes this bundle priceless. Tyler, thanks again for your time. And tell me one more time the name of the storage container, rolling tray, all of that good stuff, and I'll make sure to
This is
include a link.
Cubby.
Cubbi.
CUBBI.
All right. And Union Electric, you'll learn more
Union
about
Electric.
that cannabis on the podcast on Monday. But
Let's roll together.
That's
Join
right.
the union. We just launched the Reg CF crowdfund campaign, allowing people to invest in this brand. We believe, we can make a real difference in the industry, and Union Electric is setting out to give cannabis to the people. So come roll together.
Yes. Amen. And you can get Union Electric all across California now. So if you can't find it in your dispensary or from your delivery service, ask for it. Ask for what you want. All right. Until next time.
Much
Thanks
love.
for hanging out.